Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello. This is Matt Truman. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Hope everyone's having a good day today. I hope you are enjoying the first part of your new year. I know I am. Hope you had a great Christmas, great holiday, all that good stuff. We're back. Truman's Town Hall podcast is officially back. The work session in the city of Heber Heights happened last week. Today, January 13th, 2020, the regular session meeting is on. It looks to be a basic beginning of the year meeting with your elected officials being sworn in from the election. Swearing in Mr. Richard Shaw of Ward 1 is Mayor Mary McDonald of the city of Trotwood. Swearing in Ward 2, Don Webb, representative of Ward 2, is Mayor Jeff Gore. Swearing in Ward 6, Ed Lyons, is Judge Purges. Swearing in Glen Otto, at-large member, is State Representative Phil Plummer of District 40. And going down the agenda, you have some presentations, introductions of the new Miami County prosecutor for the city. The Humane Society of Greater Dayton will do a presentation. The Arts and Beautification will award some contest participants. YMCA of Dayton will do a presentation. And they're going to also talk about the Heathermere subdivision, if you're interested in that. They will be appointing new board and commission members to several boards and commissions. It looks like Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Property Maintenance, the Military and Veterans Commission. And then they talk about public records. They'll vote on that. And then item F. Item F is going to be the big one tonight for me and probably for you. That's the Heber Heights Vice Mayor for this year, 2020. And if you missed the discussion, you didn't see the video over on Truman's Town Hall podcast on Facebook, here's that discussion.
Okay, next up is item 3L, which is the 2020 Vice Mayor selection. So really pretty simple. Just this time, anyone who's interested in being Vice Mayor, please let us know so we can move that on to Monday's meeting to make that selection. Mr. Shaw?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After several years ago of having voted no for myself, I would like to officially put my name in the hat for the 2020 Vice Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Otto?
I would again like to, I do have an interest in the position for a Vice Mayor.
Okay. Ms. Burge?
I would also be interested.
Okay, so we have Mr. Shaw, Mr. Otto, and Mrs. Burge. Is there any other interest in Vice Mayor for 2020?
Nice try, Rob.
Okay, so we have three official nominees, I guess, so to speak. So we will look at that vote come Monday.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, is Monday, January 13th. So, who do you think will be elected Vice Mayor for 2020? Will it be Richard Shaw, Nancy Burge, or Glen Otto? Well, according to a little poll we did on Brick City Town Hall Facebook page, it's a discussion group. You join up. You can post things that you're interested about in the city of Heber Heights. It's mainly a page that we discuss different things happening with the government, maybe the schools, whatever. But I put up a little poll because I wanted to know what the membership of Brick City Town Hall thought about the Vice Mayor situation coming soon to the city of Heber Heights. And tonight they will decide, hopefully, who the Vice Mayor will be. So I wrote, 3 members of council have interest in the Vice Mayor position. Who would you choose? Council vote is potentially January 13th, 2020. Now, roughly to this point, it's about 11 o'clock on Monday. About 55 people took part in that poll. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, actually. I think it is. Folks out willing to say, hey, I would vote for this person. 46 votes went to Representative at-large Glenn Otto. 5 went to Richard Shaw, Ward 1 representative, and 4 went to the at-large Representative Nancy Burge. Now, I would agree with that assessment by the folks who are members of Brick City Town Hall. I believe Glenn Otto would be a good vice mayor. He's always out in the community. He was elected at large. He has the will of the people behind him, I believe. Now, council, the people do not get to choose who their vice mayor is. Council will decide this. The way the dynamic is, Team Huber, Team Heights, Team Huber being the minority of the members on the dais, I believe they're going to go, and this is my thought right now, is I believe they're going to go with Miss Burge, which she was also elected at large. She's also out in the community. She provides a lot of good input and stuff for folks. But for me and just for the majority of folks on Brick City Town Hall, we believe that Mr. Otto would be the better choice this year. Now, it will be interesting to see who they choose, because I think there could be an olive branch thrown, and there would be a balance of power. Mayor Gore, Team Heights, Vice Mayor Otto, Team Huber. That would be a good balance of power. Now, if you remember from the last meeting of the year, Mayor Gore brought up the complaint that Mr. Shaw provided and then withdrew and said there needs to be an investigation. Well, the city attorney mentioned that the vice mayor would have to look at that complaint. So I know a lot of folks think that the vice mayor is just a figurehead, and there's a lot of different things that the vice mayor would be able to, and that's just one example of what the vice mayor responsibilities would be. One example. There are others. If the mayor can't make a meeting, the vice mayor will chair that meeting, and so on. So we'll see tonight. We'll see where it goes. They may even just split it down the middle and give Mr. Shaw the vice mayor position. I don't know. I have just the way things have gone in the past, I'm leaning that this city council will be electing Miss Burge to the vice mayor seat. But I think, like myself, the majority of the citizens in Huber Heights would be fine and actually be happy to have Representative Glenn Otto as the vice mayor. So there's that. Now, speaking of a Facebook poll, speaking of Facebook and the like, here's something that really stuck out to me at the last work session. Let me play this for you.
Spin our wills on things that, frankly, need to be put to bed. We need to have processes and ways to keep them away from distracting the city leadership from actually doing the work of the 40,000 people, and instead responding to 1 or 3 or 10 or even 100 that get on Facebook and decide to make a bunch of crow about nothing. I think that's a mistake. I realize it's great for media. It's good fun. It creates great drama for those who are looking for drama, but it's not good for 40,000 people. So,
okay. So a couple of things on this. Now, if you're on Facebook and say you're running a business, not a city. A city is a government entity. All right. Well, I'm going to separate the two. You're running the business. You're running a business, or you're running promotion or whatever you would do, personal, and you want to ignore folks on Facebook. That's fine. And a lot of times, depending on who it is, strangers, just folks wherever, from wherever, understood. But when you're talking about city government, or you're talking about state government, or you're talking about national government, it's been proven that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram even are strong tools. And if you're not one who is willing to pay attention to what is happening on Facebook, and you want to discount folks like that, which this has been said many times, and not just by Mr. Morgan, but by others. If you're willing to discount those people, then you might want to be willing to discount their vote as well. Because those folks may not have time to come to your meeting and talk at Citizens Comments. They may not have time to do that, but they do. A lot of these folks, I would venture to say a high majority of folks on Brick City Town Hall are voters in the city of Heber Heights. That would be my guess. And I believe I would be right. So, if you're willing to discount all those folks, even on the other pages as well, then you may want to take that into consideration when you go to the polls next. It's out there, folks. If I had to choose only one meeting to watch, either the work session or the council meeting, ladies and gentlemen, I would choose the work session. That's when the discussion happens. That's when the debate happens. That's when you really get to know how your council members and your city staff, but mainly your council members, will vote, and how your city staff thinks about different projects. When they discuss, here was our thought process on developing this project, or here was our thought process on allocating these funds to that pot, or whatever. So, work session, folks. You've got to pay attention to the work session. I know we bled off from talking about paying. Now, I'm not saying that everything that the council members need to pay attention to everything that happens on social media. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying they need to base their decisions solely on what happens on social media, but it is a tool in the toolbox to use to help make decisions. And if you're going to discount 100 folks who are talking on social media, you're discounting voters, taxpayers, folks who would put you on that dais. And if you're going to do that, you might as well probably not run again, or, listen, there's a lot of council members who do pay attention to social media. I know the mayor does. I know Glenn Otto does. I know Richard Shaw does. I know Nancy Burge does. I believe Don Webb does, and Andy Hill does. There are only a few that don't pay attention to social media. Now, all those council members and the mayor may not comment as much anymore. Those comments, mark my words, will ramp up when it gets closer to time to their election. If they're running again, they'll ramp up their comments. They'll ramp up all, it's a cycle. You see it time and time again. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So just pay attention to the work session. Pay attention to the council meeting as well, because oftentimes things come out on the council meeting that didn't come out during the work session. And have your contact information from your council members, your mayor, your head city staff. And if you have an idea, you have a solution, if you have anything, a complaint even, and that's where that clip from Seth Morgan came from. They're talking about adjusting the rules of council and complaints. Now, they're going to strike out, if you're going to go up to city council and you're going to talk to them during citizen comments, they're going to strike out the address part. So if you go up there, they're just going to say your name, come up to the podium and speak. No more of this. Hello, Matt. Next up is Matt Truman from 7601 Rainview Court. That was my old address. But no more of that. So it's just going to be next up, Matt Truman. And then you go up there and you explain whatever you need to explain. Maybe you have an idea, a solution, a complaint. But they were talking about complaints. And they want to eliminate being able to give 3. If you have 3 unfounded complaints, then you are no longer allowed to complain for the rest of the year. Written complaints and the like. Well, aren't complaints a lot of times subjective? They can be, right? If a council member receives a complaint from somebody they know never voted for them, or the mayor receives a complaint that he knows that person didn't vote for him, couldn't he just say, it's unfounded, didn't happen, right? I mean, he could, right? And if he does it 3 times, then they're just